So we are actually on time. This session again is GIS Across the Curriculum. We have two presenters.
Love you too. All right. Be careful.
And please confirm your mic is muted.
And also learning from other.
And Rosemary, can you help me out on that? Looks like maybe she already did. Two presenters this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you're at. Our first presenter is representing a team of folks out of San Diego, and she is at Morning Creek, or at least at the time was at Morning Creek Elementary School, and an engineer by training, working with elementary students on what makes sense for using GIS at an early age. And Solemia Chin Pragadada, and again, my apologies. Would you care to go ahead and I'll release the screen to you, and you want to introduce your team? And
Sure. Thanks, Tom. Hi, everyone. As Tom said, we are a team from Morning Creek Elementary School in San Diego. Along with me are joining us today is our Principal Taylor, who's been a strong advocate and supporter of our GIS activities at our school. And Gitanjali Shinde, she is a parent, volunteer, a geo mentor, and her training is also, she's worked with GIS in a professional setting. And we are here to present about our GIS club at our school. And I think I'll go ahead if I can share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
yes.
Okay. Okay. So we are a volunteer-run after-school GIS club for students in grades 1 through 5 at Morning Creek Elementary School in San Diego. And in this presentation, we want to go about how we got started, how we pivoted during these this pandemic year, and showcase some of the projects of our students, and just let you know about our experiences running the GIS club. So how it all got started is the first time I attended the Esri conference, even before in the past years, from when I was working as a consultant in a civil engineering firm. But the first time I got inspired was in 2016 when we attended the kids fair, which was a perfect timing because it was during the summer break, and it is free for anyone to attend. And it was a well curated set of activities by Esri employees geared towards very young students to high schoolers, and that got me thinking as to how we can introduce it in our school. And as you can see, this was my then kindergartner at the Esri Kids Fair. So if when we again get back into the actual or on in reality Esri conference, and if there's the kids fair, I highly encourage everyone to attend the kids fair as well. So this was during June, and then during the summer, I got thinking as to how we could introduce GIS to our students in our school. And I got in touch with our Principal Taylor, with the idea of, explain to her what GIS is and what could be the activities and how we can start a GIS club. And Principal Taylor, if you want to speak about GIS or your experience or why you thought it was a good activity for our students. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. Thank you very much. So as Mrs. Shinapragada said, she approached me with this idea and we talked about it. I needed her to explain to me exactly what it was, and she volunteered to step up and take, on the mentorship of this program and get it rolling and get it going, and then bring some other people in under her. And so it sounded like it was a really great opportunity for our students to really have a STEM experience and a meaningful engagement in this program, which leads over into engagement and connection with our school. And so it was just another great way to get students connected to the programs that we have here at Morning Creek. I would get regular updates on what the club was up to. They created a map of the school and things like that. And then I would get all the certificates for the awards that they won. So I was a very proud principal of this program, would like to keep this up and running, even though the student pictured was a kindergartner. He's now a 5th grader and has promoted onto middle school. So I think that we do have longevity with this program at Morning Creek, and the parents look forward to having their child have this experience. And so it's just been a great thing and a good hands-on practical activity for our students. They really got excited about the work, and just thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you, Principal Taylor. So this was perfect because it didn't need any monetary investment, and the GIS bundle and the connected program, we got the setup, and the customer service was excellent, and it was pretty seamless. So this was one of our first flyers for our GIS club, and we had a good response. We had about 24. We were kind of restricted with the number of students because of the capacity of our computer lab. We had about 25 students, and across grade levels, and it was the first time. So there were some lessons learned because it was one session with all grades in at once. So signed up for the GEO Mentors program, got plenty of resources, and this is how we got started. And as you can see, in 2016, we attended the Esri Kids Fair, and we've been attending the Kids Fair with a group of students of our, and friends telling friends. And these are some of the pictures from our visit to the Kids Fair at the Esri conference. And we took some of the ideas, borrowed some of these ideas to use in our science fair, where we had using the backlight and mystery mapping and stuff like that. So very cool ideas. So I'm here sharing some of the materials that we shared, and because this was geared for grade 1 through 5, so one of our first projects was how to make a food map. So most of these were paper-based or a combination of paper and virtual, because for the younger kids, it was easier. So how to learn what a country is, what a continent is, city, start with simple things like that, and using the measure tool on our GIS online. So this is one of the activities which we presented to our students. So if the younger grades just completed maybe this part of it, the older or a little more advanced students would go to the next step and make their own food map with their list, how to change the icon and make their food maps or list of their favorite foods. Some of the examples were make a map of fruits, map of vegetables, map of my favorite, like if they had a favorite recipe, where did the ingredients come from? How far did my ingredients have to travel to get onto my plate? So those were some of the maps that came out of this activity. And it was as I said, it was a combination of both paper-based and virtual. So if they made map on our GIS online, they made posters on paper and presented. We had a section at our science fair, which was for our GIS club, and we presented the map. So this is a sample of one map which our students made. And the differentiation wise, if it's a simple, what are your favorite places, make a map of your favorite places. And the other one is learning about landforms, like an ABC map. This was one activity which we made. And like for alphabet I, a landform with I is an island. Define what an island is, and what is an example, like point an island on your ArcGIS online map. So what came out of this is I will show you a sample of how that activity took this form of a landform map. And this is the time when they got used to learning about story maps, and that was very intriguing to them and interesting to the students, most of them picked up very easily on this one. So for example, if it's an archipelago, mark the archipelagos and write about them. So this was a good learning experience for the students. And this is one sample map of our landforms map. Then another map was a field trip map. Like this was a 5th grader who made a map who said, oh, in kindergarten, we went to this place. In 1st grade, this was the field trip we went to. So it was like a compilation of all the field trip locations in San Diego that their classrooms took a field trip to over the years. And another map was a litter map. And this was like a data collection and data mapping exercise where I think it was a couple of students who collected samples of, made record of trash litter, let's not say litter around the school area, and they mapped the areas. So this is the parking lot, the hallways, the playground, and they assigned red, yellow, green where they found more number of pieces of litter. So this was a litter map of the school, one of the projects. So some of our students with their projects and California Geographic Alliance, we have a good collaboration, which is at San Diego University. They provide some prizes for, as encouragement for students in our GIS club and, for geography related. So here they are with their inflatable globes and some geography stickers. And differentiation is one area that we focus on because we have students in 1st grade through 5th grade all in one session. So how we do that is if we want to learn about countries, continents, and states, the one on the left would be something which younger grades would be working on, and the who want to proceed on to the next one would be, we have a little more differentiation and a little more challenging questions or topics. And this also kind of prepares them for Geography B. We started Geography B at our school around the same time. So this is kind of a preparation for Geography B in a fun, interactive way as well. Some other maps which we've regularly been participating in the MyCalGIS competition for middle schoolers and high schoolers. Although we are elementary school, we do submit our projects, and if they're 4th grade or below, they've been getting honorable mentions because they're technically not eligible for the competition yet, but still that doesn't prevent them from submitting their projects to the competition, which go on to the national level, and those prize-winning projects get presented at the Esri conference. So this is one of our projects, California wildfires, by one of our students. And
Soumya, you've got about 1 minute left.
Oh, so we are running out of time. So this is a quick overview of the projects that we have, and I will pass on to Gitanjali to talk about how we pivoted this year during the pandemic. Gitanjali. Okay.
Okay, I wasn't able to unmute. I'm sorry. Thank you. Hi, my name is Gitanjali. I'm also a former civil engineer, just to give you a quick background. And so I have also used GIS. I'm going to give it really quick rundown of what we did in order to pivot into, we basically did virtual learning during the COVID pandemic year of last year, 2020, 2021. We had the meetings via Zoom. We started with an open house in early October, and then we had meetings once a month, and we used a lot of the resources that Esri already has online for our those websites have the resources. It's basically lesson plans of what you can do and show kids. A lot of videos are on there, and they provide good good step-by-step instructions like the geo inquiries, and they have them at different levels as well as there's an educator library where I have a lot of other educators giving input and ideas that they've worked in. So Esri has a lot of great resources to help teach younger children too. We had, like I said, we had several, like Somia's been saying, we'd had several different age groups. And yeah, this is our GIS club and our meeting, one of our first meetings. As the year went on, the meeting students dwindled down, but we have in our account, we've given an account for every single student because we're able to give free access to them. So we allowed the kids to create all different maps. The younger kids, we kind of showed them again the step-by-step process of, you know, how to read a map. What are the aspects on a map? What items or what features you can add to a map? You know, what are base maps? There's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if I don't have access to share things with you right now, but I wanted to pull up our Morning Creek GIS Club launch page. So I don't know if Somia, you can show that.
I can do that meanwhile.
While
Yeah.
I go on to this. Okay, so we had some advanced students as well who had been in GIS Club a couple of years, or who are the older students who pick up faster. And so we, excuse me, coordinated with the San Diego Food Bank. It was a random coordination. We wanted to look for a map on their website, wasn't available. We contacted them and they said, well, we need some help creating these maps and creating some information. So they gave us a huge table of information that we are consolidating and creating a map to show like their food site locations, buffer areas based off of their food site locations, and then historical data, which we first created the tables, and then we're going to put them in a story map and also create now a dashboard, which is our next step of the advanced student project. Excuse me. One of the items that the kids had to do in the advanced student project was to extract information from local San Diego government agencies. There's two agencies that house GIS data for us. One of them is called SANDAG, and that has population and census data. And then the other local organization that has GIS data is our data warehouse called SANGIS. So they needed to be able to go onto these websites, extract data, create these tables, and then these tables would create these graphics and maps that we can now incorporate into our story map. So it was it will be a full-on project in the end of what you would do in an office environment, which is great for these. And they are mostly 4th, 5th graders. And then we actually requested one of our previous club members who is now in 8th grade in middle school to join and participate in this project as well. So yeah, we're seeing these students being able to go forward and continue using GIS in the future as they go older as well. And then the last part is we just wanted to give some ideas of some of the things that we learned. We wanted to make sure that we learned that we should give the projects some guidance to the kids in terms of what kind of projects they should work on and get topics that are interesting to them. So, do you want to say any of the other things that you put in here?
Yeah. So, and one more thing is we didn't know about assigning credits. Sometimes when many students go on geocoding, we run out of our credits. So assigning credits, that tool is a very helpful tool. I would strongly suggest, and incorporating paper-based and online tasks together, and that was one. And utilizing the story map gallery as a resource for ideas, for topics, and also for the formats. That's a good game changer for us. And students like the 3D scene, even if it's looking at a different kind of base map, somehow 3D scene is something that catches their attention. And using simplified terms, like instead of using symbology, if we say, okay, good at the triangle, circle, icon. So things like that, those are, they get to the students easily than using little complicated terms, at least for the younger ones. And I think we are looking forward for a combination of virtual and in-person club next year. So that's quickly what we wanted to. And this is the our whole curriculum is as a story map, and this is helpful for the parents who are helping the students as well, because all of the activities are curated on this story map, and they can, and our students, like one of our I would say TAs, they created tutorials, video tutorials, so they can look at the YouTube videos if they've missed the class. So
And Sonia, can you place that
Yeah.
URL to your story map inside the chat window?
sure, we can do
That'll
that.
give folks an opportunity to explore more of your resources.
Okay.
And what we'll need to do is pivot over to Frederico for their presentation. And then if there's time at the end, we can circle back for Q&A for everybody. And thank you for
Sounds
spending
good.
some time and presenting with us this wonderful content you all have produced.
Thank
It's
you.
great. Rosemary, can you bring Frederico up for us?
You should be a co-host and be able to present. Okay. Just a second.
Frederico, are you there? Looks like you're still muted.
Hello everyone, cordial greetings to all attendees for the Esri Education Summit.
We can see you and hear you. We don't yet see a screen if you're sharing. Now we see your screen. Wonderful.
Okay, are you looking at my screen? Okay.
It looks good. And Frederico,
Okay.
since you're helping with the prior presenter, would you mind introducing yourself and the program?
Okay, bueno. Entonces, today I'm going to comment to the project that I developed together with Diana and Luzanne. I'll start with the next question. How did we learn geography and history at the school? The project consists of the creation of an educational web platform, which incorporates geotechnological tools for the learning process in 2 schools in Colombia, carried out in 2019. There is an important aspect to consider, is that this project was focused on young people. Most of the young people are in a technological boom never seen before. Unfortunately, we use it for leisure, social networks, but it would be good to use geotechnology to learn from our every environment. This general objective: design and implement a laboratory of geotechnological tools. Okay. In Colombia, we focus the project of the 9th grade. Okay, young people from 13 to 16 years old. The children themselves have done the exercise that are in presentation. Therefore, you will see the contents in Spanish. The interesting thing is that it has been the children themselves who have done this course, and thus have learned in a much more intuitive way. An example of these geotechnologies is the ArcGIS Online platform, which allows you to create and incorporate maps, geographic content, and applications to have them in the cloud. This is the platform we use to support the development of this project. Okay, following to the methodology, we established 6 workflows. Phase 1, the schools. The schools are located in Bogotá, Colombia, in the city of Bogotá, Colombia. One is located in rural area, okay? Institución Educativa Eugenio Díaz Castro. And the other in an urban area. Unidad Educativa Jean Piaget. They are very different schools in terms of infrastructure and access to the internet technologies. Phase 2, determine the thematic indicators. With the help of the history and geography teachers, we select some historical topics from Colombia. Violencia bipartidista, conflicto armado, historia del café. And we added a very important initial theme, knowing GIS. Here, students will learn the key concepts of the geographic information systems. With this, the students have been able to carry out workshops that cover the historical themes of Colombia. Okay. Story maps. Educational web platform, GIS Laboratory. Phase 3, see, design and preliminary development. We are make booklets. And videos.
Pues en plataforma de ARGIS Online.
We make booklets, a step-by-step guide, okay, for to solve spatial problems. And we also develop interactive applications. We have thematic content in the form of story maps. We see the story map knowing GIS, affectations of the rural area or a school, okay? Because it is located near the Bogotá River. Thus, the students have learned much easier due to examples that are in their environment in their area. This is an example of the booklets, okay? Here are the themes seen in the story maps and the creation of a map or a geographic application. It's explained and at the end makes special queries from them to deepen their knowledge. And finally, videos were produced so that the students could develop the workshops and in an easier way. Phase 5, its implementation in schools. These are the best geographic applications developed by the students. In this case, in the 4th workshop, the students developed a control panel with a database, okay? That we provide them so they can know the regions of Colombia where coffee is grown in different periods of time. Okay. In workshop number 3, the children have done a swipe to compare the regions that they have historically been hit by terrorist attacks by insurgent groups. Phase 6, analysis of results. We had a feedback from the students at the end of each class. They solved an assessment for us to know how useful and easy it was to create these geographic tools. In both schools, we obtained good results. On the other hand, we have a measurement of the students' interest in each class, the amount of doubts they had. We obtained the results for each of the workshops. Conclusions: geotechnological tools allow you to develop your special intelligence. I do not know if you have heard of the multiple intelligence. Each of us, we specialize in some type of intelligence. In this case, the students have enhanced their special intelligence. The 19th grade studies from two institutions with different characteristics were able to enrich the laboratory and provide their collaboration and assessment during its startup. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks, Federico. That was great. Can you copy your story map URL into the chat window by chance so people can see it again?
Okay.
Now, it doesn't look like we've got too many questions in the chat window. There were some earlier ones for Somia's group. I think my question to either one of you is that when we build GIS programs, especially for younger kids, oftentimes they are attached to the people that build those programs. What are the critical elements and how do we think about having programs sustain over time? What are the things that we have to build into our work so that maybe they live beyond us or they can be reproduced in following years or maybe even at other locations? Have either one of you built things in your programs to help this work continue and sustain?
I can answer that. So at our school, I think one of the ways we've did that is I tried to encourage more parent volunteers in the classroom, even in our GIS club, even though they didn't have GIS experience, because sometimes there's the term GIS may be, intimidating and they might be like, oh, we don't know. But once they get in and see what the kids are doing, then we're like, yeah, this is easy. So maybe building that parent volunteer base and maybe giving these resources instead of handouts, like, maybe involving parents, like, if they made the favorite place, ask your parents what their favorite place was, like, pulling them into the project and also giving these resources and weekly emails or reports to them. That helped. And one example is one of our parents who was interested got into it and also attended workshops which Esri offers, so the training, or we had the CGA which offered workshops during summer. And for example, Gitanjali too, although she wasn't we got in touch later on, like 1 or 2 years after, and now she's I'm ready to transition off everything to her. And so look seeing that there's a link or there's continuation, yes, that's important. And I think involving more parents, and also what we are thinking is also having the older kids like 5th graders who are maybe they can come back as like mentors, or it can be students teach students kind of thing. So cultivating that kind of atmosphere also will help, in my opinion.
I agree, and all those seem like very valuable components of a program. But Federico, does your program have something like that to help it continue on? Or how long do you expect to see your program continue to run as it is?
I am currently working with a SELPER, Society of Specialists in Remote Sensing in Latin America. Okay. But to continue with this project, it was wonderful to work with these children because they have learned GIS concepts that make them interact with the environment.
Very good. Let's see if there are other questions. I did see, I think, is there a question about how often you're meeting with students? But I think,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in our case, we meet every other week. So it'll be once every 2 weeks has been the schedule. But if there are some projects or the deadlines to a competition that we want to submit, we meet a little more often. That would be like one-on-one or as a small group, but once in 2 weeks.
And Federico, are you all meeting in an ongoing way with students? How often do you meet with students? If you are.
4 months.
Okay.
In 2019.
Wonderful. This session, like I think all of our sessions during the user conference, is recorded and will be available for later viewing. I don't see any other questions popping up in our chat window. I think we can leave the chat open for a few more minutes. But I thank you, as do all of our attendees. Thank the presenters for their time today. These were both great presentations and very instructive about how we can use GIS and geotechnologies outside of what might be the normal sphere of implementation. So thank you all for presenting, and thank you all for attending. The next session block starts at 2:15, I believe. So we have about a 23-minute break. And Rosemary, feel free to correct me. Otherwise, I will probably see you all again at another session over the next day. Thank you for attending.